Welcome back to RBD Block Challenge. I'm Cindy Cloward, and today we are working on block number 7. It's called Honey Blossom, and it's designed by Lori Holt. This is what it looks like in batiks, and this is what it looks like in our beautiful solids. So I'm going to be working with batiks today, and the first thing that you're going to need to do is download the pattern from our website. Again, it's called Honey Blossoms. And then you're going to cut out all of the pieces. I already have all my pieces cut out, so now we're ready to get started on this quilt block. The first thing, well, I'm going to grab my glasses. That's the first thing I'm going to do. The first thing the pattern tells you to do is make that really sweet pinwheel in the center of this block. So we're going to grab our D squares and our F squares, and we are going to put them right sides together. Now, before you did this, if you don't have a Seam So Easy guide, you're going to need to mark this corner to corner with a marking tool, and that is going to be your guide because we're making half square triangles, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side. Since I have a Seam So Easy guide, I just put it on the side of my 1/4 inch foot. I line it up with my 1/4 inch line right there, my seam right there. And I'm just gonna sew down on both sides of my squares. Yep, flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Okay, let's clip our threads. I'll sew down right down the middle. Okay, let's take it to our pressing station and press them open. Now I'm going to press to the red side. Okay, they're ready to go. Let's bring them back over here and grab our rotating mat, and we need to trim them down to 2.5 inches. Just making sure. So I've got my little square up cute cut ruler right here, and we just give you a little wiggle room to trim them down. I always like to rather trim down to get them, rather than getting them perfect, it's nice to have a little wiggle room to trim down. Okay, we'll clean that off. Put that over there. Okay, let's create our pinwheel. Make sure your squares are half square triangles are flipped the right way. It's just a sweet little 4 patch now. Flip that over, flip that over, and these seams you can nest right there because they're going the opposite direction. So right there, got our little birds nesting our seams. Let's take it to the machine and sew. Okay, let's bring it back here, open up. We'll flip that going that direction. And then we'll flip this going the opposite. Right here. Just nest those seams. Right in the center you have a little bit of bulk. But you can just ease your machine over that bulk. You can pin your two ends, but I'm just gonna adjust them in place. Okay, open it up. All our points are meeting in the middle. That looks nice. You can press your seam to one side. That makes it awfully bulky. Or you can kind of open it up if you'd like. I'm just gonna adjust this and flip those to the side. Loosen up those seams a little bit. So I'm gonna flip that one direction, that the opposite direction. There. So there's our sweet little pinwheel. That's done and ready to go. The next thing that we're gonna work on is this corner unit. And we repeat it 4 times so we can sew them all together. We start with our base. You should have 4 of these. The E square. And then you grab your A square, which are much smaller. Now, if you don't have a Seam So Easy guide, I keep saying that, it's a great tool to have, and it saves you time by marking your squares. Then you're gonna need to mark your squares, these white squares, all of them, 8 of them, from corner to corner. And that is going to be your sew line. So you're going to sew on that corner to corner. They're gonna be in opposite corners. So I'm gonna make 1 unit for you right now. So let's take a look. And that's ready to go. Now you have wiggle room over the other side. So I just kind of do my other square right here where I'm at the sewing machine. And since I have a Seam So Easy guide, I just put that under the corner, line it up with my center seam. Okay, so this is what this looks like so far. Now we're gonna trim down to a 1/4 inch from the seam on both sides. Like that. And like that. And then let's take it to our pressing station. Soften up those seams, a little press, and then you're gonna press both sides open. Okay, kind of a flip and turn method, so it looks like this. Then we're gonna grab our H squares and our B squares, and they're gonna go in opposite corners. Again, you're gonna need to mark corner to corner, and that will be your stitch line. If you don't have a Seam So Easy guide. So let's take it to the machine and sew corner to corner. Okay, it's looking good. Let's trim down. Let's take it to our pressing station. And this is what this unit looks like. Now it should measure 3.5 inches. And it's just, need to trim up just slightly right there, not cutting into my point right there at all, because we should have a 1/4 inch on each side of my point, and that's ready to go. So I'm going to do 3 more of those, and I'm going to meet you back here and we'll start assembling our quilt block. Okay, this is our last unit that is pressed and squared up. So those are ready to go. So we're ready to kind of lay out our quilt block. Of course, we have this bright, fun pinwheel in the center, and all these outside units, the pink faces out and the green faces towards the center. So we lay that out like that. And then we have this G and C. It's our last 2 little sections we have to sew together. And it looks like the C is in the center and the green is on the outside. But since I have to sew them together anyway, I'm just going to put them right sides together and take it to the machine and sew. So let's hurry and do that. And then we'll bring them back here and we'll make sure the C, that pink, is towards the center. Okay, let's just clip all these. Let's press them open. Soften up those seams. And let's see, I think I'm going to just press to the green side. All right, those are good to go. Now we're going to put the pink close to our pinwheel. And we are ready to assemble our block. Okay, we're going to flip the inside to the outside. Let's take our pins. Okay, let's sew our first seam, assembling our block together. Now I did want to just point out that this center seam right here should line up with that center point right there. It's not perfect, it's okay. But just be mindful of, you can put a pin in there if it's easier for you, but I kind of just use my finger and hold it into place right there. Let's bring it over here. Looks good. That's lining up right there. Do you see that? Again, see how that line, that seam just kind of lines up with that point. It's looking good. So let's flip this outside into the middle. Pin, I just pin on one side so I can see where that is going. You could pin, like I mentioned, I held it with my finger, but if you want to make sure that is just really lined up, you can always put a pin right there in that center point. Okay, let's go sew. Let's open it up. Looking good. Okay, just 2 more seams. Again, you can line that up, that point up right there. Stick a pin in it. We're gonna nest our seams here. So this wants to naturally lay out the pinwheel. So I'm gonna put the opposite, move the seams the opposite way on this other section. Kind of see the sweet honey blossom coming together. It'll be fun to see what Lori Holt, which fabric she chooses to make her honey blossom. You know it's going to be cute. And that's what's so fun about all these blocks. Depending on what fabrics you use, really changes what they look like. Some of the blocks you could just make an entire quilt out of the same block. But I love sampler quilts. I love to see different variations of, you know, different quilting techniques. It's fun to see it all come together. And, you know, for this sew along RBD Block Challenge, none of the designers get to see what the other designers are creating. But I do. I get to create my block, one of the later ones. So I get to see what everyone else is doing. Okay, let's take a look. All of our points are still there. So let's give it a good press. A nice little mist from our mister. Okay, open it up. Move nice and slow. Oh, it's looking so good. Ooh, it's looking so good. Okay, we just need to square it up. Let's grab our 10.5 inch Cute Cuts Trim It ruler. Looks like maybe slightly. Again, you don't want to trim much because you don't want to trim any points off. Let me take a look at this side. Just slightly, right there. And the Honey Blossom quilt block is finished. It's such a fun block designed by Lori Holt. Join us next time for our next block, block number 8. It's called Splice, and it's designed by Christy Lee.